Jason, join her. So we just have to
Here.
tear down
Yeah.
her hair on.
It's just me. I feel like right before the meeting started, I'm like in a flurry with all these things, and I didn't know if it was me. It doesn't matter how hard I plan. It never. I try to avoid it. Asthma's acting up today bad.
Is it?
Yes, I don't know. Storm must have done something in here.
Yeah. So is it board's next meeting, or is it not till June?
Yeah. Probably not till June. I don't even know when the deadline is.
So I'm not sure if it'll be next time we vote or
It
before
had
time.
just started the,
Watch that video today, I should listen to that.
I didn't lie, but I watched it. But I was like, okay. It had just was getting, after our last meeting on Tuesday, that was when, citizen recruitment was gonna start on Tuesday.
Like a piece of
So,
straw or something.
at least a month. But I
All
don't,
out today, John? Came through this April, and then something else.
Good evening. I call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners and welcome you all for being here tonight. We have a nice full house, some real great things that are happening, so thank you all for being here with us. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by Josiah Strickland, who is a Wendell Magnet Elementary School student. If you'll come to the podium. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him while he's on his way. Josiah has worked hard this year and achieved many of his personal goals. That's a good thing. I'm a goal setter too. He's shown improvement in academics, particularly sounding out words and addition up to 150, and impresses his teachers every day. He continues to grow into a responsible young man and is a mentor to his peers. That's very good. We are very proud of Josiah's accomplishments this year and look for bigger and better things in third grade next year. So we wanted to have you here tonight because we're so very proud of you and what a wonderful second grade year you've had this year, and have you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay? Okay, you ready? All right, go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Our invocation tonight is been brought by the Wendell Council of Churches, the Wendell United Methodist Church, and we're going to hear from Wallace Johnson. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Yeah, Mayor Gray, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be here and pray and lead you this evening. So today's been a hard day for Eastern Wake Counties. We'll hold in our hearts the people who have lost homes and trees. I'm a little bit filthy this evening. I've been out pulling limbs and organizing people to go on around. So Wendell Methodist is here. We've got a disaster response team that are already working out and about. So as you hear, there are needs. We're here with you. The church is we're thriving. We're having a blast. It's a good place. So we're looking forward to connecting with our community in even more ways. So we're here to serve with and alongside you all. So we'll keep that line of communication open. We're your biggest advocates. We're here for y'all. I'm glad that you're a part of this community. So let's pray this evening. Oh, Holy God, we give you thanks for the day. Even as the storms rage on around us, Lord, we know that you are God. You, Jesus Christ, who walked out on the water as your disciples were fearful for the storm. So we who have been fearful today have been calmed by your presence. Lord, continue to calm those who look out their doors and see total havoc around. Give them peace, give them assurance that you're with them. Let them know their community is here with them to support them and love them well. Lord, I pray for this evening. Lord, I thank you for these commissioners. They have been elected to serve you in this place. Would you inspire them, give them clarity and vision, give them good conversation, give them good leadership as they lead we, the people of Wendell. Lord, bless the people of Wendell, this fine place. Small town, big charm. We thank you for the gift that this place is, the place that serves as home for so many people. For the beautiful place on earth that it is. This evening, would you guide our conversations, be present in and through us, and give us hope, give us clarity, give us vision and a future. This we offer in your precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Do we have any adjustments of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. We have one person signed up for public comment tonight. If you can come up to the podium and give us your name and address. Thank you very much.
Sound check. Can you hear me? I'm not used to being on this side of the microphone. Joe Burnett, 3721 Wendell Boulevard. I've been attending meetings for a little over a year now representing the Zebulon Times, but the Times newspaper has been sold and will no longer be published. The Wilson Times Company bought it, and the Wake Weekly is going to start covering the eastern Wake County area, and the former Times subscribers will receive the Wake Weekly in lieu of the Zebulon Times. So I just wanted to thank all the elected officials and town staff and members of the public that have been so kind and helpful to me during my time, and thank you, and wish you well. I'll won't be here officially anymore, but I'll be around. I say I live here in town, and perhaps can contribute something in some other way, assuming I have contributed anything at all during this time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move on to recognitions, reports, and presentations. First, we're going to recognize Wendell Magnet Elementary School Ashley West. Miss West, if you can come up to the podium. I can't embarrass you good enough when you're hiding back there in the back. Miss West is new to the Wendell Elementary family. She is truly a blessing to our entire school community. Miss West is patient, kind, and tolerant. She uses humor and a calm approach in difficult situations. She works very hard each and every day and uses her artistic and creative talent to serve her special needs students. She's a perfect fit for our students in our school. That's just such high praise, and that came from your principal.
Oh,
So
thank you.
we wanted to recognize you and have you here tonight, and thank you for all the things that you do for our children in Wendell.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything you'd like to say?
No, just thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for recognizing my hard work. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We're happy to have you in Wendell.
Thank you.
Our second recognition tonight is a presentation of a proclamation. This week, May 15th through 25th, 2019, is Public Works Week. And so, through the American Public Works Association. So we want to recognize our Public Works staff, all of them. I called them the peanut gallery before. They're all lined up across the back. And thank them for everything that they do. So first I'm going to read the proclamation and then I'll present it to them. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance and to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Wendell. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and in the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest of the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Wendell to gain knowledge of and maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities, whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, and whereas the theme for 2019 National Public Work Week is "It Starts Here," recognizing that infrastructure, growth and innovation, mobility, security, and healthy communities start with public works. Wendell's Public Works team contributes to the many facets of modern civilization that grow out of the efforts put forth by them to improve our citizens' quality of life. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, I, Virginia Gray, Mayor of the Town of Wendell, do hereby proclaim the week May 19th through 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize their substantial contributions they make to protecting our natural health, safety, and quality of life. I personally want to thank all of you on behalf of the community, and I have a proclamation that I want to present to you. So all of you get on up here.
I'll just say I'm very proud of this entire group. I mean, they're happy, they're excited, they're motivated. They go out there every day, and I think they really give it their all. They do. And not only are they a team, but they're really a family.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing that I think people don't know about the Public Works is that, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone, they are the entire town's Plan B. So if there's not enough hands to take care of anything, I know I do it. I'll say, well, can someone from Public Works help? Can we? And they do that. They help with every single thing and everything that happens here. And I'll be honest, it's very often thankless, and particularly lately with grass cutting season. Y'all be nice to them. They're just doing what they've been told. And we've been having some issues lately with that, and I don't like it. So, thank you, gentlemen, very much. All right, we're going to move on to our public hearings. Item 5A is a public hearing to consider a zoning text amendment to Section 17.17 of the UDO and Section 3.05 of the Town Standards and Specifications Manual as they relate to guarantee of required improvements and warranties against defects. And we're going to hear from Planning Director David Bergmark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. As stated, this is a request for a public hearing for a text amendment to one section of our UDO as well as our standards and specifications document. You have as an attachment an ordinance, a draft ordinance. So tonight we're looking to hold the public hearing and requesting action. That action could consist of adopting that attached ordinance. So 17.17 is a part of our UDO that contains the general provisions for guarantees of required improvements as well as warranties against defects. We had a House Bill 721 that was passed to put in some new regulations as it related specifically to the types of performance guarantees you can have, listing specific types that basically the town has to accept if provided by developers. It also clarifies that performance guarantees must relate to the completion improvements, not for maintenance of it, so not the warranty section. There is an exception for stormwater facilities for that, but otherwise you can't have the warranty against defects after that improvement's been put in. So the town's codes currently don't match this language, so this text amendment is essentially to fall in line with House Bill 721, as well as define when these improvements would go in. I'm not going to read all the existing language, but I can go back to it if we need to. So the proposed amendment limits the requirements for warranties against defects to only apply to stormwater facilities, changes the types of performance guarantees to match the 3 specific types outlined in House Bill 721. It changes the approval authority for guarantees to match our actual practice from the town board is what was listed to the zoning administrator or the town manager, depending on whether or not it's a new bond versus an extension of a bond. And also specify at what stage of development the required improvements may be completed. So as proposed, we have the final lift of asphalt, so it's put down in stages. The final lift would be put down, would wait until 70% of the COs have been issued. Since we no longer have this warranty extending beyond when the improvement's in place, this just limits our risk by not having the final lift go in early and then a lot of construction traffic still going over it. So you have included within your material the language as modified. Again, I won't go into all that unless there's a specific desire to, but you have that, and in the report it shows an underline specifically where the changes are, and in the attachment it just has that language directly incorporated into the text. The planning board did meet on this as well at their last meeting and unanimously recommended approval of the change. To a certain extent, we kind of have to for most of this to be in line with state law. In terms of plan consistency and reasonableness, in staff's opinion, the requested text amendment is consistent with principle number 8 of the comprehensive plan and is reasonable in order to conform to this new legislation while protecting the town from undue financial burdens associated with development installed improvements. So staff is in favor of this. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Bergmark?
David, I think I understand this, but can you put it in the context of like a Wendell Falls? Like I'm used to seeing various levels of paving out there that I assume is based on their phases. I know that when Wendell Falls is this specific, but just how the neighborhood would develop under this versus how they would under the old rules?
So the only real difference is perhaps so they'll go in, they'll put in the base course and the first lift of asphalt. You're still going to see the, your not meters, but your manhole covers and so forth sticking up at that point. Right now, we don't specify exact or make them wait until 70% of the COs have gone in. They'll usually put in a bond. So when they first put in that first lift, then they'll be able to start building their homes. They'll have a bond in place to help guarantee that last lift will go in. But in the meantime, they're still building homes. We'll still be getting a bond under this. What's the main difference is, under our current practices, once they put down that final lift asphalt, now it's a finished product, and we've gone out and inspected it and made sure that it meets our standards, there would still be, per the code, or per our current regulations, require a 1-year warranty against defects. So even though they've basically completed the road, we want a warranty in place just to make sure nothing goes faulty within that 1 year. This bill changes that and essentially says we can no longer do that, with the exception of like the storm drains. Stormwater facilities is the only thing that was kind of carved out. So that's the main change here, is that we would no longer have that warranty in place, and that final lift of asphalt to make it so it's the finished product would now not go in until 70% of the homes, and that's by phase, so not for the entire development, but by phase. Again, just to limit the amount of time that you have construction traffic going over this road that we've now essentially had to accept.
Thank you.
Okay. So open the public hearing. Anyone have anything they'd like to say in favor of or against? All right. Close the public hearing. Are there any other questions from the board? And what's your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion, to approve the proposed text amendments to section 1717 and section of the UDO and 3.04D of the Town Standard Specification Manual.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the text amendment to the UDO and the amendment to the Town Standards and Specifications Manual. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
All right.
All right. All right, item 5B, it's a public hearing for the Town Board of Commissioners to receive the public comment on the proposed fiscal year 2020 budget for the town of Wendell. We're going to hear from Town Manager Mark Collins and Finance Director Butch Kay.
Honorable Commission, thank you for the opportunity to present the recommended budget for fiscal year 2020. The budget presented to you at the work session has an all-funds budget of $8,027,766. Primarily, our general fund accounts for most of that budget, $7,527,766. You can see how the different amounts break out between personnel, operations, capital, and debt service. This does represent a 19.3% increase over the FY 2019 budget. However, you'll note that it's only a 2.8% over FY 2018. Fluctuating capital expenses over years in a relatively small budget as the town of Wendell can account for larger percentage increases and decreases. It does appropriate fund balance for capital items of $696,500. This does leave a remaining fund balance with a calculated of 88.5%, well above the 8% required by the Local Government Commission and 40% set by town policy. The proposed budget is balanced. Get this one out of the way first. The proposed budget recommends no increase in property tax, no increase of water and sewer rates, no increase in solid waste fees or other major fees. It remains the same as far as revenues from the work session. Of the only increases dealing with new parks and recreation programs, a small track out camp increase to cover additional track out costs, and a market comparative for adult co-ed volleyball. It does add several fees required by statute and code that pre-existed with the town that just weren't in the fee schedule before. Our revenues and budget growth is driven by new development in the community with approximately $75 million of new construction value occurring since last year. And as previously discussed, golf cart fees were added to FY20 as a revenue line. So just highlight for people watching that the blue is our ad valorem, our property taxes. That represents 43% of our revenue, so that's our dominant revenue source for the town of Wendell and continues to be in FY 2020. The gray pie chart, the other big wedge, is primarily the sales tax revenue. So those two taxes generate most of the revenue used by the town to provide service. Moving over to expenditures by capital, the town of Wendell is a service organization. As such, our people are our main asset. They're also our main expense. 50% of our costs go towards personnel expenses, 37% to operating, 10% to capital, and 3% to debt service. When you break it out by department, it's not surprising that the two larger departments, therefore, are your two larger expense areas. It's also not surprising that those represent the police department and public works department, the two departments that provide most of the municipal service by quantity to the citizens. A few of the operating highlights in the budget. In general governments, it does provide for the attorney to be at both meetings this year. Also, it provides for a municipal election. In communication, there's a shared communications position through East Wake TV partnering with the town of Rollsville. In economic development, it provides for a continuation of the downtown facade grant program, establishes an economic development program, and this is the first funding year for the regional brownfields program to assist in bringing properties back into meaningful use on the tax roll. In building and grounds, it provides for HVAC improvements at the senior center, cemetery driveway maintenance, town square stage repair, and some downtown trash can lid retrofits for stormwater reasons. In police, lot of additional investment in training, department supplies, in equipment. They're in need of uniforms, which also includes their web belts and accessory gear that are worn, being replaced. There's also a wellness program for gym membership reimbursement. In public works, there's increases in the cost centers that get work done. So our street signs need additional care and replacement, as well as additional funding for street and sidewalk maintenance and repair. It does provide for a couple smaller pieces of equipment to assist with that maintenance. In parks and recreation, our fields every other year require aeration. That's a fairly significant expense, and this is one of those years. Equipment also needs maintenance. There is a track out program cost increase this year. It's a very popular program. Revenues and expenses both track up. And while a smaller item, an item that the board had asked about previously was the creation of a recreation scholarship program to develop a program to provide assistance to people in the community that wouldn't otherwise be able to participate in our youth athletic programs. Personnel and staffing highlights. The budget does increase total increase of 3% to employee salaries. 2% of this is cost of living that tracks consumer price index for our area, and 1% would be a merit increment. This budget also assumes a 22.5% increase in insurance costs. There are 4 new positions proposed in FY 2020. A parks maintenance technician, public works specialist, police officer, and a CALEA records administrator. A 10-year staff analysis included in the budget document for your review. The budget does provide for a compensation and classification study to be completed in FY 2020, and the police wellness benefit, as I mentioned before. Also, the town of Wendell will be implementing an employee assistance program. There's a 5-year capital improvement program in the budget. Year 1 is the capital budget. That's what the budget's actually funding this year. Years 2 through 5 are for planning purposes only. Total capital and debt for 5 years is $15 million, and the total capital and debt for FY 2020 is 1.2. The capital improvement program identifies not only expenses but revenues to help offset those expenses over that time period. And as I mentioned, it does include the debt and lease payments. Those are continuations of past capital improvement decisions made by the town. Fund balance reserves are maintained over 40%, your policy for all 5 years, and the asset replacement criteria is used in the capital budget requests. So looking at FY 2020, the projects to highlight are the design initiation of the Wendell Boulevard sidewalk project. This would extend sidewalk and do intersection improvements from Wendell Elementary School to the Food Lion Plaza on Wendell Boulevard. That would be the design this year and submittal of a LAP funding request from Campo for funding in the following year to construct the project. ADA local road compliance of $20,000 to assist in bringing our intersections to meet American with Disability Act standards. A leaf collector truck purchase, a Public Works pickup truck, 2 mowers for Public Works that need to be replaced out. The police vehicle replacement program provides for 2 replacement vehicles and 1 new vehicle to match the police officer position added. Technology replacement programs, the regular replacement of our computers and hardware. A Wendell Park improvements project that includes Wi-Fi and several structural maintenance improvements, and the initiation of a comprehensive land use plan to update our aging comp plan. Half of it would be paid in the coming fiscal year, with the remaining $60,000 to be paid in the following when the work is completed. Again, looking at fund balance over the past to current, completing the fund balance calculation as provided for in the policy has an 88.5% fund balance with the budget in FY 2020. Budget also requires a computation of the legal debt margin based on our assessed value and a legal debt limit of 8%. Subtracting out our net debt leaves a legal debt margin of approximately $49 million for the town of Wendell. The proposed budget has no new debt being added in FY 2020. We have water and sewer funds as well. These are enterprise funds or business type services. Right now they're only used to pay debt for past water and sewer systems since the 2006 merger agreement with the City of Raleigh Utilities. And this shows a change of amounts being paid a little closer to what our auditor has said are the actual amounts being paid. That's the only reason for the reduction. You will also note that the water payments, final payments 21-22, and final sewer payments estimated at 22-23 at this time. Briefly go through how this budget connects to your strategic plan that was adopted in February 2019. You have 5 main goals, the first one being with downtown vibrancy, economic growth, and community character. It does provide for continued investment in our downtown, streetscape, and infrastructure, as well as updating land use plans and potential parking areas in future years. Goal 2, public safety and neighborhood improvement. You know, a top priority of the commission was CALIA accreditation to show the community the professionalism of our department. The position is in the budget for CALIA, a CALIA accreditation administrator, as well as funding needed for the training and program development. Looking beyond that, there's also additional professionalism and training provided to the department, including items that will increase the morale. The sidewalk project deals with public safety and neighborhood safety, which was also a top priority of the commission. Goal 3 deals with infrastructure, transportation, and the environment. There's a significant increase in infrastructure investment over a 5-year period in this budget, including establishing a sidewalk and street replacement program, in addition to the larger projects in the budget. You know, one program that will be of increasing importance to the community moving forward from a regulatory standpoint and just built environment need is our stormwater program. This budget begins to address that, but there'll be more reporting out from staff probably this fall on stormwater and leaf and limb and how those two interact with each other. Goal 4 deals with parks, recreation, special events, and culture. Right now, we're in process on a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Completing that and implementing that's a top priority of the Commission. So there are placeholder items for parkland acquisition, new park construction, as well as the Wendell Park improvement. There's also funding for a multi-purpose trail in 2022 that would provide the first 1.5 to 2 miles of 10-foot wide paved trail at some point in the community. The parks maintenance technician is needed. We've added a lot of park land in past years. The town has seen a 37% increase in programmatic use in parks and recreation over the past year. The Parks and Rec directors had to shift staff from maintenance into programming and operations to deal with that demand. So this maintenance position is backfilling a need to maintain what's being so used by the community. Organizational culture and communication is often things that aren't visible to the public but are important because it provides the structure from which we're able to get things done as an organization. And there's really been a lot of work in that in the past year. One of your main goals was for staff to deliver a budget that had no tax increase or borrowing, and so that's delivered to you. Capital improvement program, that's delivered. Additional transparency and detail connecting the policy and expenses in the budget document, that's delivered. Staffing needs analysis included in the budget document, that's delivered to you. Performance measurements and goals established, that's delivered to you in this document. In this document, there's also the joint position with East Wake TV in Rollsville. That staff time will be used to establish a communication plan and meet that need. We'll be moving into greater ADA compliance in the coming years, and this budget starts that process for the town of Wendell. We looked at overtime budgets for public works and police, an employee assistance program to help with mental health programs and counseling for employees, compensation and classification study to make sure that we're competitive in the marketplace. And that last bullet, we're emphasizing training across all departments to make sure that we're the professionals the community expects us to be. Tonight is the budget hearing. Following the budget hearing, the budget has been properly advertised and available to the public for more than 10 days and available for adoption at the Tuesday, May 28 Commission meeting following a public hearing tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions or to listen to the public.
Do y'all have any questions, gentlemen?
I have one, Mark. With the new radios for the police, what do we do with the old radios?
Chief, what do we do with the old radios?
Specifically, the one radio.
Chief, can you come up to the mic so we can?
When we did our major radio conversion 2 years ago, part of that funded through the Wake County bid was we traded those in, so we received an allowance for those. The one that's in the budget this year, showing up in the budget this year, is actually for a new officer. It's the portable they carry on them. So there is no old radio in that case. That's for a new position.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Public hearing's now open. Do we have any citizens who'd like to make a comment about the budget? You have 5 minutes. I'll go first. Get to the podium, tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Regina Harmon. I live at 6616 Tails Branch Road here in Wendell. I want to just say, Mr. Collins, this is one of the best thought out budgets that I've ever seen. It's amazing, very detailed. I just have one request. I'm hoping you guys can fit it in. I've looked through all this, and it's something for the Park and Rec. I know that we need bathrooms desperately because of the growth out there. We also need them at Carver. I know that a water line was put in some number of years ago from a massive donation from the Kiwanis group to get a water line out there with the intent over the next couple of years to build some bathrooms, and we still don't have them out there for, you know, the children and all the programs that are going on. And then also with the growth that we have over here, just in the Wendell community, right here at our big park, we do need more bathrooms. We have the few on the inside and the 2 on the outside, but they're overused, and it would be nice that if there's any way that you could take some of the money out of the fund balance and maybe throw it over there, since we're 45% over our desired amount by the Wendell. I think you guys require 40%, and we have 85.5%, so there is quite a bit of money over there to maybe do an upgrade on that. We have such a wonderful Park and Rec, wonderful programs, lots of children using them with nothing but more growth, and we need more bathrooms. So we've been asking for this for several years now, and with this budget and how well it's been put together, and there seems to be some money floating around in there, maybe you guys can squeeze that in before you adopt this on May 28th, that one item, that's it, to help the Park and Rec a little better. So that's it, but this is amazing. Mr. Collins, you did an unbelievable job.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Public hearing's closed. Are there any further questions from the board, comments?
I also feel like it's a very well put together budget, very clear, and despite how large it is, it's still concise, easy to read, easy to understand. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Echo that, absolutely. All right. Going to move to our administrative items. Item 6A is a discussion for requests for proposals for information technology, and we're going to hear from Town Manager Mark Collins again.
So the request tonight is a request to release a request for proposals. Rolesville and Wendell are both at a point where they're evaluating their information technology or IT services. Rather than just one community put out an RFP, we're looking at doing a joint RFP with the town of Rolesville. There are some benefits that both communities are trying to receive by following a request for proposal process that are before you on the bullet. Obviously, with 2 jurisdictions putting that out and vendors having the potential to gain 1 or 2, if any, Oh, good, I got the time on me, I can sit down now. It gives an opportunity to look at savings through scale and being able to jointly negotiate. Also, it gives some joint brain power, if you will, between the two organizations to talk through what each jurisdiction is looking for in IT and look for good solutions through partnership. The RFP that was in your packet has a pretty extensive scope of services that are being requested. You have to credit the town of Waynesville as being an original author for a lot of this. It was very successful issuance for them. Both Rollsville and our staff reviewed it, made changes to be appropriate for our communities. But it is based on a proven model that's already been used in the past year in the state. The different items that you're looking for there, we're looking at a 3-year agreement beyond the remainder of the coming fiscal year. We're a little ahead of where Rollsville is in our timing, so we'll be kicking off. While we will both solicit the proposals and get responses, we'll be a little ahead of them in the approval of a contract if we decide to move forward. We don't have a preset determination on what the solution is. We're keeping an open mind going into this process and rely on expert proposals. We'll be able to look at whether or not a hosted, managed, or hybrid solution. Right now we already have right now we're actually in a hybrid situation. Some of our hardware is here. Some of our hardware is provided by Wake County and City of Raleigh off-site. And so we're realistically right now in a hybrid solution, but it may move more towards a hosted or more towards a managed, depending on the proposals we receive. If we'll also be able to compare that outsourcing of IT services versus in-house staff to be able to provide that service through this process. Looking at a schedule as proposed in the request for proposals would be to issue later this week on the 16th. It'll be important for the vendors to walk through both towns to see what's here and in what condition in developing their proposals. We would expect to get proposals back in July. We would anticipate that there would be a presentation by selected vendors in the August time period, and then narrowing it down to a finalist or two for presentation for commission for award a bid. Depending on the ability to negotiate a successful contract, we'd be looking at effectively having IT services September 3rd through 2019. I'll remind you, we have IT services now. They're just on a kind of month-to-month service contract agreement with providers as needed. To go solicit information technology goods and services is actually established under North Carolina General Statute 143-129-8. We will be following that process to solicit information and services, and we'd be under that selecting the contractor or vendor that submits the best overall proposal. And while an RFP might be issued, it in no way obligates either town to award a contract. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know this board has fielded a number of presentations in the past, so you might have as much, if not more, experience on listening to some of the items out there. The most important part in my mind is is this establishes the process to get to the policy decision point by the board. It's a process established by statute. It's done in partnership with the neighboring community to get our best result possible, and it in no way obligates us one way or the other.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Collins?
I just have one. Will the denial of the, if the bids come back and if one town were to deny or step out or whatever, will that affect the overall bid amount, or how would that be? I'm assuming there's some greater advantage, like you said, greater advantage in numbers, so.
Yeah, I guess you can look at that in two ways. It could result in less favorable results for one town or the other. It also gives, I guess, more weight on the proposal or the proposer to keep both parties in to get both contracts. So it kind of works in both manners. Yeah, it's less favorable to do it apart, which is why we're looking at a joint. So it would be up to the vendor to submit a good proposal that would interest both communities.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the finance staff to issue the joint request for proposals for IT services.
All right, we have a motion to approve finance staff to issue the joint request for proposals for IT services. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank y'all. All right, now we're going to move to item number 7, other business. 7A is our snapshot.
If I can just mention to the board,
Yeah.
Finance and I have been talking about rolling out the new snapshot that'll capture the performance measures and the
Right.
strategic initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
The data will lag, data collection will lag July. So in July, Finance is going to give a presentation demonstrating the new format, and then it'll actually start populating with data at your work session in August. So we're kind of just kicking it forward a little bit, but staff's working on that format for you for the new fiscal year.
Okay, great, thank you. That's very exciting. Thank you. Thank you, Butch. Looks like it's pretty much the same as it was last time, item-wise. Does anybody have any comments or questions about it? All right, we'll move on to item 7B, update by town board members of committees. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Lutz, Triangle J Council of Governments.
Yes, I was unable to attend the April meeting, but just to kind of give you guys an update, there was a presentation on their budget for the next upcoming year. There's an introduction of a new member, and they were very focused lately after some discussions on resiliency, and aging, infrastructure, and flooding were selected as the resiliency priorities for the area.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Joyner, the Wendell Fire Board.
I was not unable to attend the last fire board meeting in person. However, I was on the phone before and after, and a couple of good things happening at the fire department. Obviously, as they move through the budget process that's attached to the county. There was an update to some personnel policies that Commissioner Boyette signed off on, so that must be good. Mm-hmm. As well as Wendell Fire Department has a pretty unique, at least as I'll see it, a tradition when we get a new fire truck and we have an old fire truck, instead of just selling it to the highest bidder, they take a lot of things into consideration, and one of those is there another fire agency within close by that there's a need? In this case, it was Bertie County. We sold the truck for what a reasonable rate, but it also allowed a fire department that otherwise wouldn't have had access to credit and capital to get a good engine. So we have sold a fire truck, and that has been delivered, and that department is very thankful for it. That's all I have on the fire department, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 8 is Commissioners' comments. We'll start again with Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Spring Into the Arts Walk was a success by all measures that I saw. And it was a fun day, actually. We did, our family did Mother's Day. We invited all the family to the Spring in the Arts Walk, and that's where we had our Mother's Day celebration with both sides. So it was cool to see town staff out there both working, policing, parks and recking, and then Public Works doing some education on stormwater and leaf and limb pickup. So a good day all the way around. If you miss seeing these things, you have to come next year to the art auction, because there was some really cool paintings done of the day, and I think the one that won first prize captured the day pretty well, with music being played right in the middle of Main Street. I don't know what your dream window looks like, but bluegrass music in the middle of Main Street is pretty close to mine. Just want to thank all the staff for their hard work on that, as well as my comments from last time on the budget. The budget document is pretty top notch. There's a lot of hard work's gone into it from every sector of our staff. And I forget to thank the planning/arts department. I joked with David that somehow arts became part of planning, and so thank them for the Spring in the Arts Walk as well. And David successfully running up the bids on some of the art for others. It was a fun time to have all, but thank you to our staff is the main message.
Okay. Commissioner Boyette?
As I'm sure most of you were in town, we had some severe weather today. I just want you to keep those people in mind. There was a number of trees down, a number of roads blocked, and unfortunately, in a lot of the same area as the tornado that went through, last spring, I think it was, not far away. It's that time of year, hurricane season's coming up. Just ask everybody to just keep preparedness in mind. And that's all. Oh, go Kings.
Commissioner Lutz?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Carroll?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo everybody else's comments on the budget. This is, I believe, the fourth one that I've seen, and definitely the most detailed and user-friendly, so makes our job a lot easier when we know what we're looking at. So thank you for that, to all the staff that put in on that.
All right. For my comments, I want to mention again about the budget document. It's outstanding. So thank you, Butch, Mark, everybody who's put a lot of work into it, and really everyone. We've done a lot of reorganizing and rearranging, and it's the culmination of a course we've been on for a few years now, and this has taken us to the next place that we need to be, and I appreciate your efforts for that. The Spring Into the Arts event was wonderful. I got sunburned right around here. And I think I can tell who was out there the longest. I've seen y'all around today, and I can see it on you. So it was a great event. I really appreciate the Appearance Commission. They worked really hard in planning, Public Works, Parks and Rec, administration staff. Everybody was out there. So thank you for your participation and your assistance. It was a really fun day. I've already got some great ideas for next year. I know y'all love when I have ideas, so I've got some coming up for that. I wanted to let you know that the American Legion Post 148 Junior ROTC members and Boy Scout Troop 515 are going to place flags on the graves of veterans that are resting in Greenmount Cemetery in Wendell on Saturday, May 25th at 5, and we thank them for that. The American Legion Post 148 is going to host a Memorial Day service on Sunday, May 26th at 5 p.m. at the American Legion Post located at 5100 Wendell Boulevard. It's free and open to the public. They'll have a ceremony, and hot dogs and chips and drinks are provided, and if you've never been, you really should go. It's a very nice ceremony. A little reminder, June 22nd, this is a busy time of year for Wendell, is our Big Truck Day, and that's from 11 to 2 on Campen and Depot downtown. And kids can explore big trucks of all kinds and meet the people who operate them and just blow the horn for 3 hours. That's usually what happens. And they love it. So, and I love for them to do that, so that's fun. If you haven't been out to the community park recently, shades were installed over the playground. And this was the result of numerous requests from citizens, so we're listening to you, and go out there and check them out so you can play in the shade now. This Thursday, May 16th, the East Wake Education Foundation is going to have their grand reopening. I don't know if you remember, but they came in and told us about the grant they received recently and all the work that they've done, improvements they've made to their facility. The ribbon cutting for that is going to be at 5:30, but the grand reopening is Thursday from 3 to 7, so you can pop in and just take a look. And I urge you to do so. Wendell's very own Peggy Lockery painted numerous murals in there, and little animals are tucked all around, and it's just beautiful. So if you haven't seen it, you should go in and take a look. I wanted to mention briefly that how lucky we are today, and we've dodged the storm bullet a few times here lately, and we sure are lucky, and we appreciate that. And I appreciate the Methodist Church mentioning earlier that they were out helping people with storm cleanup, and we appreciate that and their assistance with that, and very thankful that we're not hit as hard as Zebulon. So remember those folks. Our next board meeting is on Tuesday, May 28th, not Monday, because Monday is Memorial Day holiday. So make a note, because if you come, we won't be here, but we'll be here the next day. And that's all I've got for tonight, and I believe we are going to go into closed session briefly.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11.4 and 5.
It's a long one. All right, we have a motion to go in closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.